Okay, this is Hoboken's Talking, coming to you from the Muller Insurance Studios. Our special guest for this interview is a true Hoboken icon, a gentleman I've had the pleasure of knowing just about all my life, and it's the one and only Michael Brother Biggie Yacarino.
Okay, thank you, Lenny, for that nice introduction. And yes, we do go back a long time, and I enjoyed meeting you and your family, especially grandfather. Your grandfather had a tavern. He ran it strictly, neighborhood tavern. And I'm growing up, I found out through the grapevine that he's one of the charter members of the local 560 with Tony Provenzano and others. And through that little meeting they had in the bar, they had opened the club and became one of the biggest union in the world, called Local 560 Joint 73, and they employed a lot of people and put food on their table, and they in turn sent their kids to college and able to raise them the right way.
Well, thank you for that. And also with me is my co-host, Roger Muller, Jr.
Hey, Lenny, it's a pleasure to be here. Sitting here with brother is like a special treat. Very special.
Thank you, Roger.
Having brother here, and it's great. I can't wait to hear what he has to say, different questions we're going to ask him.
Well, brother, as I was telling Roger at one point when we were going to do this interview, I can vividly remember I must have been about 6 years old, and my father brought me down to Madison Street, and I can still remember my first clam, and I can remember your dad with that big white apron.
There you go.
Opening clams. No one that I ever knew could open clams like Biggie and his son brother. The fastest clam openers ever. Now, your dad was in vaudeville, because I remember there used to be pictures of minstrel shows on the wall.
That is correct.
And so how did your dad make the transition from vaudeville to Biggie's stand?
Well, he had 5 children. He did do some work in Coney Island with some up-and-coming comics, but then when he had the 5th children, he had called it quits, and he wanted to work as a peddler and with a horse and buggy up to Bergen County, which is like Fairview, and the horse got him up there, and that was his post. So he parked the horse and the wagon, and he went to tavern. He never came out, so the helper did the business. At the end of the day, the horse brought them home. That way he was drunk, but that was the start of the fish business. But then fruit business. Then he went into the fish business. That's where our good fortune was made. He took me to the market. I had to fall asleep in the truck going to downtown, the market, and buying clams. He was teaching me. I fell asleep, but I know that eventually I'm going to wake up and know what's going on. And I enjoyed the trip with him. I learned a lot, and when I took over, I was ripe. And I started with him since I was 10 years old. And I'm born in 31. And with 41, they went to tavern to tavern with pills to clams. Made about 6 stops. And the patrons used to come in and say, here comes the Biggie family. You know, in baseball, they got a bat boy, a ball boy, but no pill boy. Fortunately, I was a pill boy for my dad. And in one hand, I had the clams, and the other hand, I had all the accessories. And we went on, we made the 6 stops, and that was wonderful. And that was my trip at that age. Then we went to, we opened up in 1946 on Madison Street. Daddy bought the house for $800 back then.
800 for the whole house.
$800. Because he worked for the city, and we had 5 little kids, everything was cheap. We bought the house in 39.
How many brothers and sisters did your father have?
We're a family of
You had 11
7.
brothers and sisters?
Yeah, and they're all gone. I'm the last one.
Wow. No, but your father had brothers and sisters, 11?
Oh yeah, they big family. I had 12 or 13.
12 or 13,
yeah.
wow.
And
where did they come from?
Pardon me?
Where did the whole family come from?
From my mother came from Naples,
Oh, nice.
and Dad came from in that primitive also. They came in at the early age of 1900. They were in Hoboken.
Wow. How old were they at the time?
Well, I was born in 31.
No, your father, I'm saying.
About 1 years old. He was
Wow.
born there
Been here a long time.
1899 and 1900.
Wow.
But he was a fixture downtown. with some politics. Then he worked for the city, so he became a half-assed politician. You know, it's a mouse square city. Everybody knows each other, and you know what's going on. And but when you became that time, Dan McPhilly, he was a powerhouse. He was like the guy from Chicago, Daly. He was a Daly of Hoboken.
Wow.
And but he got jobs. They worked for the Maywalk, and they had a club there on 57th Street, and it's called the Third Ward Democratic Club. And being there with the membership, not him alone, he had some other key members. They promote Mike Borelli, and as a standard bearer, and later on he became our director in City Hall, and he was a very good, made a good director, and from there they went on. But I enjoy living downtown. I didn't have much. I never owned a bat or ball or glove. I was that poor.
Wow.
But you know what? That didn't matter. I managed to play little sports.
What'd you do for fun?
Well, I played kick the can.
Kick the can.
Get Johnny on the pony. Those games, committed my life.
What's Johnny on a pony?
Well, 3-4 guys are in a top position, and the first guy goes on there, the second guy's on, and then comes there. So
it's the start of football.
Yeah,
The NFL started in Hoboken.
Right, exactly. But then you went home at 9 o'clock, and that was it. And I went to high school. I played a little baseball down. I didn't play for high school. For other teams, the score was 41-42. Today, now it's 141 to 142. So that's how the game progressed. But growing up with I had nice brothers and sisters. No one was in your face. Everybody was pleasant. When Daddy worked for the city, we didn't make much money, but there was plenty of food. And when you didn't have food, you went to number 7 school. That was not what they now call welfare. They gave out shoes and eggs, and and that's the way it was. There was no
relief.
Yeah. Now, growing up in Hoboken, they had about 90 companies in Hoboken doing business, such as Scott Paper, the Waterfront, Todd Shipyard, the Bethlehem Steel, Maxwell House, Lipton Tea, and it went right down the line. And they were about 30 sweatshops. My sister had to quit school to work there to support the family. That's how tough it was.
So there's a lot of sewing factories in Hoboken.
Yeah. And but you know what? It was an honest living. You brought the money home. You went to a dance. The local church had a little dance, St. Francis, St. Anthony, and that's what going on.
Never had a good time.
Yes. There was no Indian face. There was no hate. We never knew that word hate that exists today. The love for people and the church was very instrumental of getting us on the right track. The nuns, when you receive your communion, the nun was in the aisle clapping her hands and make sure everybody raised their hand for the Pope that came in for that day. And that was another highlight. But I remember growing up, and naturally in 1941, early 40s, Sinatra started stepping up with that. He won the title with Hoboken 4, and they won it all. So then he went on his own. He appeared at the Rusty Cabin. And then from that point on, he went to the Paramount. The time was right. The voice was right. The war just started. The Bobby started coming at the play, the young girls, your sisters, your aunt. And then my dad was a very good friend of Frank and Donna Sinatra. And one time, Dolly Sinatra said, "Joe, send one of your boys up there. I got some company." And my dad sent me up. I went on Hudson Street that time. She lived here, and I shook some clams. She had some company. She gave me $5, which was big. And I looked around. I saw a picture of Frank tuxedo. That was a highlight. Then I seen a cookie jar. If you open the lid up, there was a sound there like you're robbing a cookie. Today, we don't have that today.
Yeah.
So, but then, with my sister's birthday, Lucille, my older sister, for birthday present, my dad took Lucille to the Paramount backstage, And naturally, when you go backstage, there was a lot of bodyguards at the door. So he says, you want a little note, tell Frank, Joe Biggie's outside. And they came to him, come on in, Joe. It might have been about a 30-minute interview, but it would highlight my sister's life. I mean, Frank was coming up. And that was a good thing. And I love Frank. What's good about Frank, he had a song for everybody. His wife Nancy, if he was a soldier, he sang army songs. And there's Sailor, Angus Away, The Pitcher, and this go on and on. He did a great deal of work for Hoboken, but sometimes that don't get highlighted. He became anonymous. So, take that, but hear from me, he's a great humanitarian. And I live by those things, and him being Italian, come from Hoboken. Now he's not only being on Broadway, he was knighted by kings and queens all over the world.
Wow. Hey, so my whole life that I know you, it's always been brother.
Yes.
And only up until recently, I think I know what your real name is. How did you get your name, brother?
Well,
and what is your exact name?
Roger, that's a very good question. My dad was a minstrel man. So in those days, everybody was brother. Brother this, brother that. So as the two end men come to the center stage, they greet each other by the word brother. And they tell a one line like who's buried in Grant's tomb, who comes to the one's white horse. And they clapped a little bit, and that rattle came out, and that was you could get the audience warmed up for the other performers. And that's how the name, and the name stuck with me. Do I like it? Yes and no, but you know what? It's not a bad name.
How many other brothers do you know in Hoboken? We were talking about that before.
Well, it's about half a dozen.
Let me just ask you this. Your brother, but your brother was Dates.
Yeah, my brother.
How did he get that name?
He won a lot of dates. That's easy.
I didn't know that was it.
Yeah, he was a handsome boy. You know what? A good worker, he shuck clam fast. He'll shuck a clam, and with one hand, he'll shuck it. With me, I would cut him nice and give you a little story, and I give you something to talk about.
Wait a minute, brother. I got to clarify this. You're telling me that Dates could open a clam faster than you?
Yeah, he was good.
But
wow.
not his knee.
Wow.
Not his knee.
Not his knee. He does a nice
when
knee.
you cut a clam,
pretty.
like my book will show you here, you gotta have that veil looking nice, so you don't show the eye, you don't show the other organ, so it looks appetizing.
He did this real artwork to it.
And then when you cut a clam, you free the clam from the muscle. Both ends. I reverse my knife and I reverse so the clam comes out very easily. You don't need a fork to get a recipe. You don't need a fork, and through that double cutting, the clam is easy. When by going fast, you shuck the clam, you throw it at the customer. It wasn't my way of dealing with a customer. But I enjoy whitewood clams. Years ago, I cut as many as 2,000 clams on a Good Friday night. He said, well, clams came 500 in a bag, and I sold 4 bags on a Good Friday. They ate more. People ate more. They did things on the dare. They drank more. They ate more, and it was cheaper. And I just saw a bag and a half in the daytime. At nighttime, 2.5 bags. My record is 14 dozen clams at one seating. And I do times 12 by 12. We get 144 clams. Looking at 160 clams, that's a lot of clams. But in that deal with cutting clams for the patron, I didn't take the cold too cold because that'll make your stomach act up. And I favored him, cut him slow. It was a 4-hour deal. 14 dozen is our modern record.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, brother, I remember when your father actually was outside opening the clams. You were inside working the grill, making the hot dogs and the French fries and the corn on the cob and cutting the watermelon.
I was the man on the inside.
You were the inside man.
Right. But then when I had to get some prominent people, I went outside, wash it this, and then be more professional, younger. Being younger, you do more modern things, and I went out and I cut the clams.
Who's some of the famous people that you've served over the years?
Oh, everybody.
Besides Frank Sinatra, well,
Everybody's famous to me. I made everybody a title. If you were a chief in a local police department, I would call you captain. I demote you. I'm not supposed to do that. But on your question, I had some actors from New York that came there. I don't know the name, but I tried a lot of
no Stallones or no Stallones or
no, none of them. But they heard of me. They know my career was up and coming. That I was above board. You know what's the amazing part about being downtown? I'm not saying anything, tales out of school, but there's a lot of activities, a lot of clubs, a lot of gambling, and this and that. And I managed to stay abreast, very disciplined, and bring my money home to my wife. I had 2 lovely girls, and through that effort, when I bought a few houses, I didn't even know my wife was paying all 4 mortgages. I didn't know that because I was so busy late at night and going to clubs, and the next day was a working day, and I just bounced around like a ball. But you know what? It was all good.
I know your daughter Rosemary, who's a wonderful girl. What does she do in your restaurant? And do you have any other kids at all?
She's the belle of the ball. She's
the boss, the manager?
Yeah, well, I don't have any boys. Okay. And Steve, she was courting with Steve. I took a liking to him. He took over the hardest job of the place, the film.
Now, who's Steve?
Her husband.
Okay, what's his name?
Steve Renoro.
Okay.
Steve Corpus boy. Okay. They played. They went to high school. He was a football player, cheerleader.
Oh,
that's how they matched up. Very simple. Okay. And so she brought him home, and then I put him to work. I saw a lot of good in him. You say, what do you mean? Well, I waited till I was 33 years old. My father gave me a shot at the business. That's kind of wrong. I should have been planning some kind of firm, get to my pension going. It didn't happen. At 30, I freelanced around. I got my break at 33. At that point on, I was ripe. I was on fire. And I opened. Then Steve came into the family. I put him to work, and he showed me a lot of incentive. So we only had 3 or 4 tables there, and I could tell as I'm in the front, he's cooking. Patrons appears, and they see that we're filled up. They pass us up. We had no more seats, and that I didn't take that too well. That's tomorrow's business today, and they're passing us up. So I promoted him. After a few years went by, I made him my partner first of the year. And so I didn't even tell my wife. I went against the grain. I took part of my throne, and I'm breaking away slowly. And as time went on, I did more business. They finished their college. They were married. My bills were all paid. I said, you know what? I'm going to make him have a small buyout. I said, Stevie, I'll get a mortgage on that house to the rear. We'll mortgage that, do what you want, and I'll see it when I get back to Florida. He put that good money into it. He put a whole shell on the store. He made me 50 seats. Now I went back. I ordered my friend at a big table, and I threw $200 to it was a good luck. From that point on, he was on a roll. And then he had a 12-hour stint down Asbury Park, but he was doing some construction, but I managed while he was doing his absence.
Right.
And when they came back, we latched on to other areas, mainly Carlstead, which is our big one.
On Route 17.
Yeah, that's our Biggie. Biggie had Biggies.
Biggie had Biggies. Great. I've seen you there before. Always shucking clams.
And our name went up there very easily. All people that moved out from Hunter County went up Hasbrook Heights, Monarchy, Lodi, all Jersey City, all my patrons.
Frank Castanetti said to say hello to you, actually.
Pardon?
Frank Castanetti, he lives up in Hasbrook Heights. I said to say hello to you, Chicky and Frank.
And once my name went up there, it was home. I'm there 7 years. It hasn't stopped. It's been an all-one situation. We attract new friends. We're good to Carlstead, the police department, the fire department. We donate to the Little League, and anybody that's in our way, we're there. Family's always there. The waitress, they come in, and they put together a nice staff. staff that they don't want to leave there. Some of me, boy and girl, they going to get married, who paid their way through college. And you know what? And when I come in, it's a nice warm greeting.
They just like family.
We are family. And by doing that, they're thanking me indirectly for giving them a job, and they go on their lives.
So what happened after Carlstadt? Where'd you go after that?
Well, I backed into the Clam house. I was looking around for another place. I met Alan Rizzo. He was up to the door at that time. I said, "Bud, what are you doing here?" I said, "Well, Steve and I looked for something else." Wait a while. He called DNF, who owned the Clam house.
Totally.
Yeah, and they put together a gorgeous place for over $2 million in that area, and I like what I seen. But the wife was iffy. She wanted to sell them, then she didn't. I said, "Well, listen, get your act together. If you do want, come give us a call. You know where we're at." Some other fella, he got us in there. I don't want to mention his name, but he got us in there. And we got in there. So now you got the old Clam house, the big
history.
dynamite name since 1899. So now to go there, it was a big place in that prominent area. Then we came in with my little, and we had some flavor to that place. And I'm there today. We keep intact that big sign that's the finger that's on top of the building.
History, Hoboken history.
That stays on. But we did put a picture on the wall of the old Clam house, but our name is Biggie's. And if you're a family, children, you want a Clam lover, if you're a sports fan, there's 22 TVs, you can amuse yourself. If you want to have a little party downstairs, you can come down there. There's the elevator if you're handicapped. So it has all the ingredients of a nice, good family restaurant. My son-in-law, Steve, he wants me known as a restaurant, more so than the go-go bar or that. That come later on. My grandson put together a little disco, but mainly it's a restaurant with Biggie's name, Biggie's food, and the Clam house.
When I go there, I have Biggie salad. It's one of the best salads
Oh,
anywhere.
The Biggie salad.
I love the Biggie salad.
The Biggie
yeah.
salad's good.
Yeah.
But now, and today, my daughter put together, my son, my two grandsons, they're both, two boys are running it now. Steve is two
Hoboken?
boys. Yeah.
Okay.
And my one grandson finished Villanova. He has Jesuit education. And he worked on a J.P. Morgan Chase. He became a vice president. Doing that, he liked the job. He enjoyed being a family of J.P. Morgan. But turn of events, he got tired. We got sort of burnt out at an early age. So, without further ado, he jumped on Daddy's bandwagon. He joined the forces. He got two brothers with Dad running the business. And believe me, you'll hear from those boys in years to come. They're both businessmen. One with the operational manager, Stephen, and Michael, the Villanova candidate. He is doing the numbers. He's doing the schedule making and all that stuff. So you got one guy in the financial end, the other guy in the field end. That's a good combination.
And what do you think? That's the fourth generation of the Yacarino family. How do you think your father would feel when he's looking down?
He'd be with joy because that was his dream. He kept everything intact. He worked hard. We didn't come in through the back door.
Yeah.
There was no back door. It was up front with people, and everything was cheap. And the amazing part of my life, I was there to almost 1 in the morning for a hot dog. How do you do that? How do you stay late for a small amount? But you know what? That became the goodwill in the business. One story, I have a lot of stories in my life, but one particular story stands out in my life. As I went to work, I was like Toots Shaw. I used to work my tables. Down when I treated the customer, the patron, I just say hello, talk sports, whatever. This one lady had a voice problem. And every Tuesday she made the novena down in Jersey City. And I used to greet her, how are you? How was your week? And we just chat the current subjects. This went on for about a year. One hot summer day. Her husband was a lawyer. He was St. Peter's graduate. He read the paper while I sat with his missus. One hot summer day. A limousine pulled up. I looked down. Holy cow! Who's coming in now? He came out with a black tie. I ran out to him and I offered my condolence. And he said, signed it right away. His missus, he lost his missus. And in that caravan of cars, people come out from the way from 4 to 7 to get a break from the funeral home, and they come in. Now I'm understaffed, no big rugs, no air condition, no cocktail, and they come in. The luck of the draw, I shoved some bread, one shop, start flipping sandwiches, and I made them feel like I never know that would happen, because I was magic.
Right.
And after this, I didn't even have a good powder room for the ladies. Generally, I had all politicians' wives. They like to doll up to go back to the funeral home, but I got by in that area. Now come the punchline. He said, "What do you mean?" He grabbed me. He said, "Brother," he grabbed hold of me. He said, with a straight face, he said, "Brother, now keep in mind, he could have gone to Casadante, VIP diners. He had the bucks to go on with it, but he said, brother, she wanted to come for you." And I think that's not only a feather in your cap, but it's picked me out among hundreds of restaurants in Hudson County. And I think by my little sandwich shop became a heavyweight.
What a testimonial. That's a true testimonial. You know, talking about working the tables, I don't know, a couple of years ago, Marie and I get down there, and there's Ray Falco and a bunch of the guys are all sitting. You know, brother comes out, like always, hello, we get a hug from brother. We're sitting there, we get done, and all of a sudden, brother comes with a tray, sliced watermelon. Yeah, come on, everybody, full. Yeah, watermelon. My wife could never get over that. She was, wow, that's great.
That made the place. I saw 50 watermelon by slices. Today they sell watermelon in these supermarkets, but he had an art of cutting that to the right thing. And I sold them 5 and 10 cents. Now, years ago, the police cars didn't have air conditioning. We left a few in the case, so they come out at the middle of the night at 12 o'clock, and they'll get a nice fresh watermelon. The garbage got collectors. They helped us up out there. And we never locked the clam bar. You say, what do you mean? The push car was there. We just put a piece of wood, iced them up, and we just put a board on it, and we said goodnight. Dad lived in a big house. And he said, weren't you afraid of terrorists? If they want some, just whistle, I'll come down and cut them for you. The goodwill of my business. That was the, yeah.
So I have to say, every single time that if I was in Hoboken at your place or in Cross at your place, every single time I've ever gone to Biggie's, brother's been there. You don't take any days off? Like every single time for like the last 40 years?
I worked so hard and so long hours, over 90 hours a week. One guy grabbed a hold of me. He said, brother, come here, let me talk to you. I said, what's up? He says, look at you. He said, you look all in. I was tired. Oh, you're working day and night, you know, and I stood up late because I went to you had to wind down. You could go right to sleep. If you work nights, you're not going to go right to bed. You're going to watch the late show, the late show. But I went to clubs and I talked sport, watched them play. There again, I didn't open up my
wallet.
receipts, no way. Anyway, one guy says, "But look at you. You look all in." I said, "Well," he said, "take a day off." "Oh no, I can't take a day off. They need me here, and I need." He said, "Take a day off." Well, I took that to heart. I took a day off, and I enjoyed my home. The kids are growing up. I played with them, took them out to eat, and till today, at 6 days and once a night, if you can't make it over 100 hours a week, you might as well hang it up.
How many kids do you have?
2 girls, 2 lovely girls.
Rose is great.
And yeah. Judy. Now, this past season, my youngest daughter's a doctor, and she's a graduate of St. Louis with her master's. When he went to further education, she latched on to her master's. And I gave one house. One day, my wife called me. She said, "Honey, drop the knife." I said, "Marie," I said, "I can't, leave. I never leave my place." She said, "Drop the knife." So okay. The woman was on my way. So I tipped in mid. House was for sale by owner, and the rate was 19%. There was no take on the card administration. So I strolled around. I like the little cute little house, and it's like a English Tudor, very very nice. So I went in, I looked around. I like what I seen. I brought my kids around. I brought my wife around first. Then I said, Mrs. Isla, I like what I seen, but it's not for me, for my oldest daughter. You know, in Italian, you know, the first daughter gets the prize. I said, but she's not here now. I said, can I come Sunday, my day off? By all means. I said, you want to retain it? No, give me a handshake. A good handshake, and that today, you don't see that today. And from that point on, with love at first sight, I looked for that house and the neighbors and the opportunity to buy it. Sunday came, we strolled around, and I said, Rose, if you like now, just wink at Daddy, don't go overboard, let's
Negotiate.
I know she's going to wink at me. She liked the house. Make a long story short, we bought the house. She's there every year. Steve found a house in Bergen County on a lake. Gorgeous. So he said, I want to sell. I said, wait a while. Don't sell this here. The other girl's coming up. 4 years behind, without a loan, school loan for husband. So I gave her money to move on. I kept that for her. She's there 1 year. The sister found a house for her sister that bought around the corner. How the heck you top that? The luck of the clam, the luck of the draw, the luck of being good to people, I got paid in spades. And today, Mom and Dad is in town, they run over each other's house. Now go back to the business. In being in business, I derive a lot of friendship. That corner was labeled one of the worst corners around, but to me, I didn't want to know about that. They patronized me. They helped me support my money. People were poor. The end of the month, when the checks didn't come in, people waited on the corners for their check. And I went to bat for them. And when the check came in, they came in a family with a couple of kids. I said, taking the order, do you want a family size French fry? No, get the one each, brother. She spent her money. She wanted me. Their ship came in, and they patronized me in that fashion. And
So that was 6th and Madison Street.
What?
You know, 6th and Madison and Hoboken.
Madison 3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th. But my house became a fixture. There was things happened, a firing across the street. We went up there, we aroused the tenants. We did so many things in that. I've been there 70 years, and it went fast, but it was good. It was good for me because I was able to talk sports, meet people. The biggest is another highlight of my life. The city fathers in the sports field. You know, kids with Buddy Matthews, one of the moderators. They called me and they put me in the Hall of Fame. Well, I didn't bounce the ball, but I fall into the Hall of Fame by way of achievement, which means they seen a lot in me that I became an asset to the city and its ball players and deserve a right to join the Hall of Fame. And that, to me, is not a highlight.
That's great.
So when you get all these things, it sums up to one thing. Meeting you guys on an off night, I can go all day and because a lot of good came out of it. I lived good, my wife, and I brought the money home, and she juggled it, and she raised her girls. I had no part of it. You know.
What's your wife's name?
Who?
Your wife's name is?
Marie.
How long have you been married?
59 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
59 years.
And,
Wow.
We went all.
She's sitting outside. She's a great lady.
Okay. And then I had to close up in the winter time. We went to the various islands. Being I didn't get no sun, but I wound up going to Puerto Rico. I've been on cruises. When I went to Italy, I became a foot taller. What do you mean? Well, I was Italian, so I became a foot taller. To me, that was the highlight. And I don't speak Italian. My wife speaks Italian. She makes up for me. One day we went to see the Spanish Steps, and seeing that was $8 in the taxi. Coming back, it was $12. My wife said at the time, hey, kid, come on, what's going on? Senora. They know we're tourists, so but that's all part of the trip.
Hey, big question. So you're in Hoboken?
Yes.
You're in Carlstadt?
Yeah.
You're in Ramsey?
Right.
And then I heard some kind of rumor that somehow you ended up in
Tennessee.
Kingsport,
Yeah, Tennessee.
Well, how the heck does Biggie's end up in Tennessee?
Yeah, but that's Steve's brother.
Oh, okay.
And his wife's from Tennessee, so
What's his
on
name?
the highway. His name is Robert.
Robert. Okay.
On Highway 81, which they were all there. Mike Subs, Blimpies, this and that, McDonald's. So we fall in line with them. They found a nice spot, and I had to go cut the ribbon. I was so happy. Mountains around me, a big Marriott, and we had an outdoor affair with those tables like Yankee Parlor, and I had to cut the ribbon. And it was very nice for me to have that. But through somehow he stayed there. We're doing well. He had a area like for racing, one area for the old menu, one area of football, the volunteers, the Tennessee and it was a nice, well put together place. But you know what? Putting my food in that area, that became a little drawback. But I think, I mean, I can't second guess anybody, but it had a lot of potential. There was a hospital, they had a room where projection, you can use that as a springboard to run your business better. But they done well. I think he sold it to the manager. But we got Ramsey going, which is catching on, parking there. Hoboken is doing very well, and our car stands at Cambridge.
Hey, you like talking about sports. What are your favorite sport teams? Yankees?
Well, I go for the locals.
Go for the local,
Go
okay.
for the locals.
So you root for the Yankees and Mets like I do? Because they're in different leagues, so it's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Giants?
But I'm a good basketball.
What's your favorite team?
Basketball.
Knicks or Nets?
I went to the Final Four.
Oh, cool.
That was the highlight. I'm sitting down with,
So you like college basketball?
College. Walls from the 49ers. Dan Manny, they were that big basketball giant. Basketball was my game. I don't play by high school because I had to work. You know, it's sad that here you're a nice young fellow who likes sport, but the time was different. I'm born in 31, there wasn't much around. So, but you know what? I played with Empty Lot. I played against St. George and our churches and these teams. I can name you the Triangles, St. Joe's, St. Anne's, OLG, the Hudson Aces, the Blackhawks, the Pioneers, Jack Maraca, and all those guys became fine men, married local girls, and they were my heroes too, along with
The Blackhawks were still around in my day.
Yeah.
Because we were uptown at Schnackenberg's, and they were down by St. Joe's. It was kind of a rivalry. But getting back to Biggie's in Hoboken, so I would say that every mayor from Borelli to Dave Roberts, even Zimmer, I guess, has been to Biggie's, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what are the Hoboken people? Jimmy Roselli?
Yeah, Roselli was very, very good.
Yeah.
They were going toe to toe. Don't forget, Sinatra was on Monroe Street, and Roselli was on Madison Street, and they had a cool reception. They weren't on the same page. I had a picture of both of them in Vegas, but they didn't. But I can tell you, truthfully, when I went to New York City one year, Jimmy was, the visit was $55, Sinatra was $45.
Really?
Really, that's a true story. He outpriced Sinatra, but he sang with you know, that nobody sang better than Roselli for Italian songs. Sinatra, a crooner, he'll grab the microphone, he'll make you feel at home. He had a lot of diction and the speaking and songs, and the putting over a song was his piece of cake. But Roselli, he was humorous, but he put all his eggs in one basket in the singing, high notes and Italian songs. Outstanding. Go back to Hoboken, I remember the waterfront. I went swimming with hardly no clothes on in that waterfront. You
went swimming with no clothes.
Well, for 11th Street, yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Jumping off the pier?
Yeah, come up off the grease. But But they're all there, Todd Shipyards, Bennett Steel, and going down, right down the line, go to all the piers. They had the pier A all the way to Pier 16. They create jobs. And Fifth Street Pier had the Holland American line. They had the big ships come in. And people on cruises, they came in there. And during the war years, that became a port of embarkation as swords left from Hoboken. And Hoboken was very vital. They had, like I say, sweatshops, and on my block there might have been 14 stores. 2 grocery stores. One guy sold fish, apple on a six, and a Charlie Roos ice cream all in one store.
Wow.
How do you put that together? You know, the one with fish had snails used to climb up, but that's what's hopeful. These old time remedies today, you can't get away with that today, and you shouldn't.
Now, you mentioned Cartwright before.
Yes.
Now, when you were a kid, did you get down to Cartwright and put your hand in the wax?
Yes, we did that, and I made a glove. Yeah.
I made a glove.
That was the highlight.
That's a famous downtown Hoboken story.
I did a lot of shoe shining in all these stores and those bars. At one time, Roger, there was 225 bars in the city of Hoboken, right down. They're called the Barbary Coast, the Grand Hotel, the Continental Hotel, and the bars.
The American Hotel.
Viagos, the Grand Hotel. You went right down the line, and it was. I just shine shoes all of them. Sold papers. One guy was quick selling the papers. He wanted to get back to the spread the news. He took the wrong train. He went to Coney Island. They put a picture of Dolly in our library, and the post office is named after Frank. Is named Sinatra post office. So there's a lot in Hoboken. It's people, the school, after teachers, the coaches. It's just been an all-win situation. And I think if you haven't been in Hoboken, you should come down there at Memory Lane and keep asking questions with old-timers, and they will enlighten you. We have a lot going on in Hoboken in our games. They have parks for the dogs that they're attracting the young people. They're put together two or 3 bedrooms condos so they can remain in Hoboken. So you see, we're changing to the better. And they're paying big money, but they just want Hoboken and the proximity. They want the view of New York. They want the access to go to Times Square. You're in Midtown in 7 minutes. You look up, you're at Madison Square Garden, everything's right there. So it has a lot of pluses. And the subways are wonderful, but if you want city living close to your job, subway, if you leave the house when it's dark, come home when it's dark, there's no fun. But that's the way we're living.
This sounds like a public service message from the Hoboken City Hall. Saying it sounded like a public service message.
Brother,
you did a better selling
commercial.
It's great.
Is a commercial.
City.
Yeah,
it's a great. I've been in some other cities in Seattle with great waterfronts, but
rains are all the time.
Spectacular. And we got 2 lovely neighbors in Jersey City. They're building high rises up. They got a nice view there. And to our left north is our Weehawken.
Right.
And another good view. And you can travel across it by ferry 4 minutes.
Wow.
You're right across. Okay, take
the bus.
The subway. You're in Midtown in 7 minutes. And buses go to the tunnel.
Every other street.
Yeah.
Like 15
brother,
minutes.
you moved from 7th and Garden to Secaucus a few years ago now, right?
In 1972. When I saw a lot downtown that wasn't my flavor. So I made a few dollars. I said, Mary, let's move to the suburbs. We had 2 girls, and I was concerned about their independence, go to school. So I bought the land in 1 year in Secaucus. I built it, I flipped mine, and I'm still there.
With all my cousins in Secaucus.
Yeah. I'm there since 1972, and I'm there again.
But what I wanted to ask you was, when you meet people like when you went to Tennessee to open Biggie's, and you meet when you go to Florida for the winter, whatever, when people say, "Where are you from?" What do you say?
Hoboken.
Right.
When I went to see the Pope one year, and the audience walking back from that audience, there was a couple in front of me, and I see them, they're buzzing around. So I knew something was up. So as I caught up with them, so simultaneously I said, Hoboken, yeah. And I knew them from Grand Street. That was a highlight for me.
Wow.
Seeing people 10,000 miles away. I'm down in Vegas. I got my Biggie shirt on the elevator. Hey, I've been to your place. And this goes on. One year, I went to San Domingo. I'm changing money on the outside. Was testing one guy said, hey, Biggie, holy God, what the? He said, don't make no problem. I'm going over dinner tonight. So I had to say yes. I'm meeting a guy, in the same town, miles away, you get that big bread. So go ahead.
Hey, before we started interviewing you, I had a conversation with your daughter, Rose.
Yes.
And I have a book laying in my office because our family is in it, The Legendary Locals of Hoboken. And Rose was very proud to show me that on page 45, that she's in there with one of her sons.
Her son, Stephen.
Your daddy is on page 44.
Yes.
And I'm just going to bring it over here to show you.
Yeah.
So here's the book.
Yeah, I got the book.
So this is your father?
That's Biggie. This is, Captain Golo. He passed on. He was the director of public safety.
Okay, yeah.
And that's when he was a minstrel man. See, he wore a hotel uniform, hat on side, and he would parade through the streets and give out candy. Wow. The band picked him up. Yeah, his own band picked him up, and he paraded downtown. It wasn't overdone, just a few blocks, but...
So your father was a comedian also, or...? He was a comedian also, your father?
Well, I never seen. I was kind of young for that. Yeah. By the time I got the age, he went up. He was on the way to start. But this is the
grandson
boy that carrying that ball.
That's
this is
Stephen Jr.
Yeah, Stephen Jr. He went to two colleges. Very smart. And that's my dad, and that's him in uniform. And
that's the Biggie that I remember with the white apron, standing outside of the car.
You couldn't promote that picture up. One year, this was before today. As you pass Saks stores in New York, you see all kinds of models on stage and all. As for it, be prepared to pay for it. He had all the nice, and you know what? During the Beatles years, to hang out, no one hung out in our store because Biggie's had a way with people, families, and I never had a problem. I never had a trouble point. You say, brother, did you have any guys in the rackets? No. I had a good mouthpiece. I got along. I fed them. I kept them. I pressed what's going on. And it just was an all-win situation. You can't buy that upbringing I got. And you know what? I read a paper about a month ago. Jim Brennan on the national level, which one of the Jim Brennan on the national level. I think he's not in the cabinet with Trump, but it was one of CIA directors. He had a piece of the paper that his roots from Hudson gave him a lot of good education. He went to St. George of the Palisades, and through that upbringing in Hudson County...
Bill Comley was from Hudson County, yeah. He actually lived in Hoboken when he first got married, yes.
Well, there are a lot of guys got good education, including myself. Hoboken, not the X and O's, but the right thing, the right time, and there was no bullying in our days. Nobody bullied us. And you gained respect because you were not with someone's sister. You had to toe the mark. And that's something you don't see today. Today they go fly a kite, but when you had to answer to the brother, and that's old-fashioned tales. Does it work today? I don't know. That era went out with the 5-cent cigar.
There's no bullies, but there were a lot of tough guys.
Oh, by all means, you were.
A lot of tough guys.
You saw the picture on the waterfront. That's a perfect thing. It was a 5-foot job. Put a toothpick on the ear. You got picked. You worked the golden hour. The ship late, and they had to carry the discharge that big ship with the hand truck.
Yeah.
Today it's all containerizing. You ordered the thing, you took a tentacles on the
Cherry
on the
pickers
trailer,
lifted up.
right out.
It's all done
A lot
by
of
hand.
changes. I mean, but you know what? Teachers were very instrumental with me. I learned a lot from teachers, coaches. Kane, the baseball, they had the best. They won a lot of towns in the state-wise. Mr. Chico from the YMCA. The YMCA was very instrumental of helping the poor, and I like that. OOG, it's a nice.
And St. Francis, Father Mike.
St. Father Mike. And then the recreation with Tony Clam.
And Calandro, yeah.
And very nice. And across the street from our recreation was, I don't know whether you're aware of it, Bill Bergen, a prominent family in town. You know what, Bill Bergen?
Fireman?
Fireman?
Yeah.
You know his
Bill
sisters?
Fireman's father.
Yes, fireman's father. Okay.
Yeah. They were all good people. His father played for Babe Ruth. With Babe Ruth in Western New York. I'm going to parlay that information to Mr. Bob Foster, see if they have that. If not, we're going to pick it up and make sure this man gets recognition. I got a picture from on the team with Bill Bergen and Babe Ruth from Western New York. That's a picture you can put up in here. It's so wonderful. I'm going to see it. If it hasn't been brought to the light, I'll bring it to the light.
You're doing it now.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I know Billy Bergen knows Bob, and of course I had the pleasure of knowing the old man. He was like, I don't know, 94 when he died.
Yeah, strong. He was like that. Unbelievable.
So his son's a fireman.
Was a fireman.
Yeah.
He's retired now.
Because I see him. He hangs
runs
the flag on 10th
Firehouse
Street.
Museum.
Right.
Exactly.
And he was he's official in football for high school and college.
Yeah, referee. He was an
Their
official.
family is like the Cunnings. They're upscale family.
Yeah.
You say, well, how do you get that? By having good offsprings, and they carry that torch into the next level. They married well. They respect the church, and Mrs. Cunning became the Irish Woman of the Year. She raised one son.
Her daughter was a councilwoman.
Oh, Helen.
Helen.
Yes.
Nice lady.
Helen.
Yeah.
And the boy became a fireman, two firemen.
Well, the son was a captain, wasn't he? Didn't he become a captain?
Danny, and then you had one of the chief of police who became a captain of the police department.
Right.
Her son-in-law, Angelo Valente, was a
Angelo
councilman
Valente
too.
was running for town.
But he was a councilman way back 30 years ago.
He was knighted by.
He's a knight
By the Pope.
I just saw Angelo today, and I tell you, because at Father Mike's funeral, he and Danny Attilio had on this regala, and I said to Angelo,
I never seen that.
what was that? Oh God, it's something. He's a knight which protects the holy sites in Jerusalem. Him and Danny Attilio, representing the Vatican. It's an appointment from the Vatican.
They were knighted from the Vatican.
Yes, from the Vatican.
I know Louis Attilio got involved in that.
I just can't think of the name. It's out of my head.
Angelo, whenever you came into politics and the Republican, he greeted the Nixon as he took off the plane.
Wow.
In fact, he's running this year as a councilman.
Yes.
He's
Yeah, councilman at large.
He'll make a great mayor. He's straight up.
But I heard the
If the stick is done now, no politics. All right, listen, this evening has been great. We've been here with Brother Biggie from Biggie's, a true Hoboken institution, and Brother Biggie is a true Hoboken institution. Brother, thank you so much for your time. And I just want to say to people who are going to hear this, Biggie's is at the Clam House now. And if you go on a Tuesday and you love clams and you love oysters, it's half price. My wife loves to go. We walk in, we sit down, the waitress doesn't even give us a menu anymore. She says, you'll start with 2 dozen clams and 12 oysters. What will you drink?
Thank you very much for the compliment, and I'll be there on Tuesday to meet and greet.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it, brother. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you very much. Roger.
I have to say that I feel lucky to sit here and hear all the history that you had to tell about the town, about people.
Well, I jumped around a little bit, but I'm going to give you both a chapbook that I wrote a couple years ago, and what I didn't say, maybe you'll catch on in the book. And I think you'll say, geez, a buddy should have mentioned that. But there's so much to talk about, with the Sinatra, with how we started, with the waterfront, downtown with the Lucy family, with his trucking, whether it's Scott paper or jobs, it just
We'll have to do it again.
there's
I
so
can't
much-
believe still that we're sitting here. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. You came in about 9
I'm
with
just warming
your
up.
wife and your
Fact.
daughter. And the thing is, I can't believe that it's almost 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night and that you're 85 years old and you're not even tired at all. And you're like amazing. You speak really well. I love hearing you, and I wish that I could
Thank you,
sit like
Roger.
a couple more hours with
you.
you.
Guys, along with Jay, you made my night, and you make my day. In fact, I'd be on tomorrow's menu that I sat down and how I got this. Jay came in from the train, took time off his busy schedule to come in to sit down with us and a trip down memory lane, and that.
I appreciate that Jay, the producer, allowed us to sit here, and it's great sitting by Lenny. And thank you very much for your
Well,
time.
it's been my pleasure.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
All right. Hey, thanks again for coming, and that turned into a long ending.
Well, I enjoy meeting Gray. I'm sorry if I entertain you in some shape or form. My trip was very memorable, but I sort of jumped around because you want to be able to cover your end up, but if not, the book would finalize my story.
Cool.
Thank you, gang, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.